Hello and welcome to the How to Get an Analytics Job podcast, where we will help you discover where you fit into the analytics marketplace, what skills you should build, and how to land your analytics dream job. I'm John David, analytics agency owner and educator.
And I'm Elizabeth Illig, a private career coach and higher education professional. In this podcast, we will not only help you land your next analytics job, but we will give you the tools and strategies to level up your career.
Hey, welcome back to the podcast. In this episode, we are going to stick with the theme of building skills, and we're going to be talking with Tyler Lubben, who is an awesome entrepreneur and a really excellent analyst as well. So we're going to talk about learning skills by doing, which has been something that we've talked about, back and forth over the years about how to approach learning in general. So, hey, Tyler, how are you doing today?
Hey, doing well. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So where in the world are you right now?
I'm currently in Mexico. I just got back from Costa Rica and went to the beach for a little bit.
Awesome. Yeah. So those of you listening, Tyler is pretty much jet setting all across the world, which is super badass. He's running his own, what would you call it? Would you call it a consulting agency?
Yeah, it's pretty much a data visualization consulting and training company.
Yeah. So you were basically finding clients in really high paying areas and living in really low cost areas. So that is some awesome geo arbitrage going on there.
Yep. Making US dollars and spending Mexican pesos and other currencies. The best plan.
Cool. So the question that I wanted to kind of focus on and unpack today is, how do you go about learning skills?
Yeah. So of course, most people go to college and try to learn there. Me personally, I didn't learn much in college that I can actually use. So even while I was in college, I wasn't the smartest. I didn't get the best grades, but while I was in college, I constantly learned via YouTube or Udemy or lynda.com was real big back then. And I would learn the skill, take a certification. I did Microsoft Excel, kind of expert type certifications. I did the SAS programming certifications. And then later on I did Tableau. So I really kind of went in and just kind of started watching e-learning videos, watching YouTube, learning the actual, practical programs that I needed, as well as, learning from other experts, and then applied those skills to kind of real life situations. Because to me, what you learned in the textbooks is, it's nice. It's good to have some general background, but it's nothing you're going to really be doing in real life. So learning from actual experts that are actually doing something in the field close to what you're doing is the way to go.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. So my academic history is kind of similar in that I got an undergrad from UNCW in economics, and I basically came out with no usable skills whatsoever.
Yeah.
It was almost like wasting those 4 years. And then I ended up in a sales job that I hated. So when I came back to get my MBA, I knew kind of what was on the line. It was that kind of dead end job that just, sucked the soul out of my body. So yeah. I started applying what I was learning directly, basically through internships. So what resources are you using?
Right now I'm using mostly Udemy and YouTube. Because those are done by experts, and they're usually, pretty good as far as, relevant to today's age. Because, things are changing so fast. So learning, a textbook that was done, 5-10 years ago compared to some, a video series somebody made last month, it's a big difference. And then, learning from professors that just teach, and then from people that are actually experts doing it every day. So Udemy is a really good one, and YouTube is pretty much the best college to me. Pretty much everything I learn nowadays is off of YouTube. So yeah, that's kind of where I go for most materials.
Yeah. So listeners out there, YouTube is a free resource that is just abundantly it creates a huge amount of value for you. A lot of people who do coding and learn technical skills, they just know how to research better. But I would say that you have kind of a distinct advantage in that you're taking on all these projects So you're getting to apply analytics and Tableau to different specific business problems.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, most clients say, "Hey, have you ever, worked with this data before?" And I mean, my answer is usually, I've worked with a lot of different data. After a while, data is data, and everyone wants to, drill down, cut into it, slice into it. So once you work with a lot of different industries, a lot of different data sets, you just approach things the same, no matter what data it is. So yeah, I've been able to, connect and then learn skills, because sometimes they want to analyze data in SQL Server or MySQL or other, Snowflake or other programs. So I've, have actually been paid to learn how to do some extra things, which is always good. And, once you actually see, hey, this can give me money, then you go take some YouTube videos and some Udemy courses and actually, be able to put that to your skill set. And the good thing is once you learn a whole bunch of different things, even if you specialize in one thing, which I do recommend, be specialized in one thing instead of being able to do all these different things. Having a knowledge, at least a little bit of knowledge of all these different things, lets you talk, knowledgeably to other people and to other departments and to other teams, so that you guys can come up with a great plan. Even if you don't do it, you delegate it, you at least can speak the language and get a general understanding of what to do.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think that actually I mirror you in that I started out as a Tableau specialist and kind of put my hat on that, and that was my brand. But now I'm starting to kind of rebrand myself as just an analytics expert in general. So I wanted to ask you about, you seem to have a knack for identifying problems that you see over and over again and then creating a solution. I think that's a really sophisticated way of approaching learning. So the prime example of this is your survey analysis tool.
Mm-hmm.
So you kept seeing the same data quality issues, kind of the same ways of visualizing, and then instead of addressing them individually on an ad hoc basis, you just built a system. I think that is kind of learning at a much higher level. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So no, I think that's entrepreneurship at its core. Entrepreneurship is kind of one of those things where you can't read a book, you can't watch Udemy or YouTube and then think you're an entrepreneur at the end of it. It's really changing the way you see life, the way you see problems, the way you see solutions, and how you think through them. So, I have a business idea pretty much every day. I walk in the store or walk somewhere else and I hear somebody complain or see a problem. I automatically start thinking of a solution that can solve their problem. Where most people, they'll go into customer service and call like, man, I hate these damn customer service lines, right? And they just complain about it and then never think about it. I think I see the problem and then I automatically think of a solution that could solve the problem. So it's training your brain to stop just complaining and just being mad and just letting it go to, hey, if I'm complaining, somebody else is complaining, which means there's a solution for this, which means this probability that I can make some money off of it. So yeah, identifying problems and seeing it and seeing it as creating a business afterwards makes you an entrepreneur and continues your learning compared to just complaining and doing nothing about it.
Cool. That's some excellent advice. Can you walk us through how that applied to what are you calling it? Visual survey?
Yeah, visual survey. Yep. So that was it was the same thing. It was a pain. I was doing survey projects for a few companies, and even after they were paying me, I'm getting paid for my time. I didn't want to do it anymore. I was just like, hey, keep your money. Like, this is like stressing me out, giving me headaches. Like, I couldn't sleep at night. Like, I don't want to do this. I don't care how much you pay me. I don't want to do this. And that kind of, and then it started developing. I was like, all right, well, there's at this point, it was like, there's got to be a better way. Like, how do I fix this? So I was like, all right, well, we have the survey data, it comes out the survey tool. There's nothing we can really do about that because we don't have the survey tool. And there's no solution to that. There's all this data cleaning and automation that I can do, but I was like, well, let's fix it in the core. So the data comes out wrong from the survey tool. Let's make a survey tool where the data comes out right. So that's kind of where the ideas came from was finding the core problem and if I can't fix it within the current application, then I build my own application that fixes it. So that's where the actual survey tool came from, and then the data cleaning tool, which automated also. Yeah, it's seeing problems, identifying that they're a problem, making sure it's not just a problem for you, it's a general problem for the population, and then creating a solution for it.
Yeah. So basically what you're talking about is product market fit. Like you found a excellent problem that you solved and then you productized it and started selling it.
Exactly. Yep, exactly. But there is, and this is not my first company. I've built a few other companies that failed also. So there can be, a problem and a solution, and you create the solution and it could not work. But how I look at it is, it's a failure, but everything I learned through that failure was worth the time and the money, because that I can apply to the next company, and then I can apply to the next one. So you kind of have to, and that's the entrepreneur kind of mindset as well, is it's failed, and you're like, oh, damn, I lost all this money. But think positive. You think about, you spent that money, maybe 10,000 or 20,000 on a failed business, but I'm pretty sure I learned more with that 10, 20,000 than I did with that 10, 20,000 at school. So, it's almost like, yeah, you failed, but you're paying for your education, with a chance of you making even more money, or with just the chance of you just learning all these new skills and actually getting experience. Because yeah, you can read as much as you want, but until you actually do it, it's not really sticking to you.
Yeah. Well, I think this hits on a theme that I've started to kind of notice come up over and over again. And the theme that I'm still kind of working this theory out in my head, but it seems to me that learning is an iterative process, which is not, it's essentially impossible for your classes to approach it that way, because you only have, like a 3-month semester, and they're just kind of helping you memorize concepts or maybe work on a project. But what you described with visual survey is you came in, solved a problem and build a product, but what you then ran into were more problems. So that's a great way of building out an expertise. So you can almost reframe expertise as you can solve a series of iterative problems. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, and your problem solving skills just go, out the roof. And even that relates to my consulting. And, I run into problems with Tableau where most people get stuck, and I come out with, some out of the box concept that works. So, constantly run into problems, and like I said, not just quitting, just, damn, that's a problem, let's keep moving, figuring out ways to solve them, and constantly solving more problems. I mean, it just makes you, very confident in you as a person, and you and your skill set. And people can see that for sure.
Interesting. Well, I don't want to totally discredit classical education, because so you have, what's your undergrad degree in?
Yeah, so my undergrad was a business degree in actual science, and minors in applied statistics and finance, and then an MBA in finance.
So I think that has its place, because that has helped bring you a lot of opportunities, right?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I say a lot of things about, college is for me, I didn't learn nothing, but at the same time, if I didn't go to college, I would probably never got an analyst role, being a data analyst and analyzing data and learning Tableau and learning other skills. Even if I only worked in corporate a few years, college, I wouldn't have got my foot in the door to be what I am now if it wasn't for college. So even though, like I said, I mean, a lot of people can do this type of stuff without college. But it is a lot easier to go through college and get a job, learn, a year or two getting paid through corporate, and learn all the corporate pains, and get paid to learn a skill set, and then maybe jump in on your own. So yeah, the college is definitely, there's still a place for it, but it's not necessary. It makes things easier, and also it gives you a backup just in case it doesn't work. Because I mean, let's be real, everyone's not going to be a successful entrepreneur. Entrepreneur is like I said, it's within you. It's not a skill. It's kind of who you are. And some people find it that, they have a skill set. They're good. They're probably better than most people, but they're not an entrepreneur. And that's something you can't really make yourself. So if you try it, you go into entrepreneurship, you fail, you try to be a consultant, you fail, then you got a degree to fall back on, which I feel is really important. Which also makes you, or allows you to have more risk. So I blow money on new ideas, new things, and businesses, and I kind of have it in my back of my head is, yeah, I blow money, but if I ever get broke, my bank account gets to zero, I can still find a 6-figure job next month, and be back on. So it's definitely has its place.
Yeah, that's a great place to be in, because I think you're really tapping into your own creativity, which now, stop me if I'm wrong, I never actually went the corporate track. I did 2 internships at Volvo, and I had enough just from that 6-month period where I can't be in corporate America, because it just seemed to the rigid structure of that hierarchy. I basically had to ask for permission. And granted, I was an intern, so I was not even low man on the totem pole. I was like underneath the ground, so to speak. How are you leveraging your creativity to advance your learning skills?
Yeah, so I'll kind of give you from first job to now. So first job, I was a risk analyst in college for Chase, and I would analyze fraudulent kind of transactions and see if I thought it was fraud or not. So there was some analytical skills there, but still, even as a risk analyst, in college, I created this kind of Excel template where you would paste in the transactions, it would look at all these different variables, and then I would either mark it high risk or low risk, medium risk, and it was just based off of kind of a model that I created, and I would use that personally to use, or to not to necessarily make the decision, but to help me make a decision. And I started passing it on to my different teammates. And then I kind of got promoted to like a senior supervisor kind of level. And I presented it to my boss's boss, which was like a director. And then they started using it throughout the whole team, which we were maybe awesome. 50 different people. So then I got a innovation award through Chase, and this is all in college. Like I'm still just fighting, working just a side job, and getting things going. So I was doing it there. Then I was finished college. I got a job as a healthcare analyst, where the turnover was so high. My manager quit, the director quit, and I was the only one there that knew the role. So I was in almost a sales manager position, looking at sales data and analyzing it and presenting it to C-level. And I got lucky because I still was, being an entry-level college student, I had pool, like I had control over doing this and that, and I had a lot of freedom. But me being me, a little bit of freedom was not enough. I wanted all freedom. So I was telling in meetings with C-level, saying, no, I think you should do this, do that. And then at a certain point, my confidence was just so high. I was like, you know what? I don't want to direct to this manager or this director anymore. I want to merge my department with the pricing director. And I was like, if not, then the startup is offering me a 20% raise and this and that. And it was our direct competitor. So they went to the drawing boards. They're like, all right, we'll match it, but we're not moving your department to over here. And I was like, fine, I'm going to the startup. So I left them, went to the startup and worked there for a few months. And, it's cool because you're it's like your own company pretty much. But I was so low on the totem pole that, my ideas wasn't really getting heard and wasn't being implemented. And I was just like, you know what, I got better ideas. I'm gonna go do this on my own. So after that, I went kind of by myself, started doing stuff on the side. And it was like, I'm starting my own company. And that's kind of where it all started. And, I started my own consulting company, then I started a real estate company, and now software. So I'm constantly being able to do what I want without anybody limiting me, which some people need, some people it's okay with. But yeah, in corporate, you're going to have limits. And like I said, I had a lot more freedom than most people. But if you constantly want to innovate and create, and if people are constantly saying no, and you're like, well, I think my idea is better than yours, it's gonna bother you. So yeah, there's definitely that, and that's one thing is like entrepreneurs. You hear entrepreneurs can't work in corporate. It's not that they can't. It's just they don't like hearing no, or I can't, or I don't want to.
Yeah, well, it seems like my learning has been just kind of put on steroids since I graduated. Yeah. So to give some context, I I got my MBA, and then I turned my last semester's internship into my first consulting client.
Nice.
And I just kind of, jumped in the deep end. And it seems like the rate in which you're learning is very much tied, or at least somewhat related to the responsibility you're taking on.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're, working corporate, you can kind of hide behind, other people or like the infrastructure. But if you have been brought on as the subject matter expert and working directly with the CFO, there's nobody to hide behind. Like, you either execute or you don't.
Yep. Not for sure. And especially when you have your own company and like stuff like marketing, right? You spend all this money. At the end of the day, that's money out your pocket, right? So you
Right.
Right. So yeah, the accountability of your decisions is all you, which forces you to be better, to be more efficient, to be more effective, and it pushes you compared to, like you said, in corporate. If you're wrong, all right, I'm still wrong. I still got the same. My paycheck still comes every week or every 2 weeks. And nothing really happens to you. Where if you're on your own, stuff happens to you and affects your wallet, affects your image, it affects your future clients. So yeah, that accountability, all being on you, definitely motivates you.
When I first graduated, all my buddies got pretty high paying jobs. And I remember being like, oh, did I mess up? Did I make the wrong mistake? But now, fast forward to 3 years, I've got, 15 different clients that I've worked with across all these different industries, and they've got one very specific, set of skills. Yeah. So if I were to go and put myself on the, job market, I think that makes me quite a bit more hireable, because I can give perspective on a lot of different business processes and kind of see things from, the bigger picture. So do you have any kind of closing remarks or advice to give on how you can go about advancing I don't want to just pit it on specific analytics hard skills, because you kind of touched on soft skills as well. Like, do you have any advice just kind of across the board of how can you grow your skill sets?
Yeah. So, start off with, analytics and consulting, especially if you're going in there. I'll be honest with you, my analytics is not the best. I may have an actuary degree in statistics, but my analytics, there's way better people than I recognize it as far as analytics go. But your company is not just analytics, right? You got to speak with people. You got to, you got to do meetings and you got to sell, because you got to get people to like you. You got to do some marketing. You have to, talk to different groups and different things and different departments and make it all together. You have to do project management, create your timelines. So, just being an analyst is great if you're just an employee. But if you're trying to do it on your own, having all those different skill sets, even just having a good personality, just being a likable person, there's way more to it. And some of those things just come with experience. Some of those things come with learning different things and reading books. But yeah, it's don't, even if you're, trying to be an analytics person, you can't just specialize in analytics, because that's 20% of the job. You have to have all these other skill sets also, which, like I said, I learned off of YouTube and Udemy and reading books. So being a well-rounded individual and professional is really important. So you have to constantly learn.
Awesome. Well, I think that was some fantastic advice. I really appreciate your input on that.
Yeah, no problem.